Good day TLE majors. So for today's video, we are going to talk about the part 2 of our TLE notes or our lecture. So without further ado, let's start. Let's begin with the characteristics of an entrepreneur, no? So ano nga ba yung mga characteristics ng pagiging entrepreneur? So we have the adaptive, the analytical, the committed, the creative, the innovative, the inquisitive, the leadership, the persistent, and the positive thinker. First, we have the adaptive, no? So, pag adaptive daw yung entrepreneur, he is easily adjust to sudden changes and cope with changes, no? Pwede siyang mag-angkop, no? Kung may mga changes man, nakaka-cope up siya ng mga changes. So the second characteristics of an entrepreneur, no, is the analytical, no. When we say analytical, ability to think logically, no. So tandaan natin yung think logically once na nag-appear yan sa board exam, analytical yan. So it is find effective ways to execute it. Third characteristic of an entrepreneur, no, is the committed or being committed, no. So when the entrepreneur is being committed, he is dedicated to fulfill his or her task, no. When we say creative naman, no, so entrepreneur have unique ideas to improve, no. Tandaan natin dyan, if an entrepreneur have unique ideas to improve, he has the characteristics of being creative. So the fifth characteristic of an entrepreneur, no, is being an innovative. Now, when we say an innovative entrepreneur, he is exploring the unknown, no. He exploring the unknown daw, blaze new paths for progress, no. When we say exploring the unknown, parang nag-e-explore siya ng mga bago, yun yung innovative. So how about being inquisitive, no? So an inquisitive entrepreneur is not being contented, no? Not being contented, inquisitive. Find ways to learn more through research and practice. Yan daw yung characteristic ng entrepreneur of being an inquisitive. At saka yung being inquisitive, mahilig magtanong, yun yung characteristic ng pagiging entrepreneur. So the seventh characteristic of being an entrepreneur, no, is the leadership, no. When we say leadership, entrepreneur leads staff effectively to achieve the goals, no. When we say leadership, no, ito ay ang pamumuno ng isang entrepreneur. How about being persistent, no? So persistent, when an entrepreneur don't give up easily, no. So kasi pag entrepreneur ka, there's a high risk of failing. At pag entrepreneur ka, hindi ka nag-give up. Yun yung pagiging persistent. So the last characteristic of being an entrepreneur that we have, no, is being a positive thinker, no. So, in positive thinker, entrepreneur, think of the bright side of life, no. Dapat positive lang yung thinking ng pagiging entrepreneur, no. When the entrepreneur fail, then try again. That's being an entrepreneur. Before we move on to the next topic, no, drill muna tayo sa characteristic of being an entrepreneur, no. So, first, what characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she easily adjusts to sudden changes and cope with changes? Okay, it is the adaptive characteristic of an entrepreneur, no. So tandaan natin pag nag-a-adjust yung entrepreneur sa sudden changes and cope with changes, ito ay ang adaptive. So how about characteristic of an entrepreneur that he or she has the ability to think logically? Okay, it is the analytical, no? So pag think logically yung entrepreneur, ito ay ang analytical. So how about the characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she dedicated to fulfill his or her task? It is committed. Very good, no? So, when tandaan natin when the entrepreneur is dedicated to fulfill his or her task, ang entrepreneur ay committed. So, how about the characteristic of an entrepreneur have unique ideas to improve? What characteristic of an entrepreneur is this? Okay, very good, no? So, it is the being a creative entrepreneur. So, how about characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she exploring the unknown, blaze new paths for progress? Okay, it is the innovative, no? So, tandaan natin, when an entrepreneur explore the unknown, blaze new paths for progress, it is the characteristic of being an innovative. So, how about the characteristic of entrepreneur when he or she not being contented? Find ways to learn more through research and practice. It is the inquisitive, no? So, being inquisitive is the characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she is not being contented. So, how about the characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she leads staff effectively to achieve the goals? It is the leadership, no? So, how about when the entrepreneur think of the bright side of life? It is the positive thinker. So how about the characteristic of an entrepreneur when he or she don't give up easily? Okay, very good, no? It is the persistent, being persistent of an entrepreneur. Our next topic is about production, no? So when we say production, it is the creation of goods and services and utility, no? So tandaan lang natin, pag creation of goods and services and utility, ito ay ang production. We have here, no, the four resources of production, no? So first is the financial resources, the human resources, the informational resources, and the material resources. Resources of production, no, is the financial resources, no? When we say financial resources, it is the funds from various purposes, no? Tandaan natin, pag funds, ito ay ang financial resources, no? In simple terms, financial resources are the monies that keep a business operating. No, yung spelling ng financial, no, nagka-error lang, typo error lang yan. So how about the human resources, no? So when we say human resources, it is the hiring people, plan and implement business activities, no? So tandaan lang natin, when we say human resources, no, it is the hiring of people. The third resources of production we have is the informational resources, na. So when we say informational resources, it is the reliable information is essential in making plans, decision, and implementation. So the fourth and the last resources of production that we have now is the material resources, no. So when we say material resources, tandaan natin yan, it is the tangible use for production, no. Material resources also includes woods, glass, metals, edible plants, and plastics. Yan yung mga example ng material resources. Now let's drill the four phases of production, no. So when we say funds for various purposes, okay, it is financial resources. Now, tandaan natin, pag funds, financial resources. What if hiring people, plan and implement business activities? Okay, it is human resources, no? Tandaan natin pag hiring people, plan and implement business activities, it is human resources. So how about the tangible used for production? Okay, very good, no? So it is material resources. Tandaan natin pag tangible, it is material resources. So how about it is a reliable information is essential in making plans, decision, and implementation. It is informational resources, no? So how about the creation of goods and services and utility? It is production, no? When we say creation of goods and services, it is production. So now let's talk about the factors of production. So we have here, no, the 5 factors of production, no? So number 1 is the capital, the entrepreneurial activity, labor, land, and cost of production. So the first is capital, no? So when we say capital, it is the physical resources such as machine and equipments which are used to start a business. So pag capital, no, it is the physical resources. Second factors of production, no, is the entrepreneurial activity, no. So when we say entrepreneurial, coordinate all the factors of production. When we say coordinate all the factors of production, it is entrepreneurial ability. Yun lang po, no, it is the entrepreneurial activity, no, it's not the ability. So it is a typo error. Factor of production that we have now is the labor, no. So when we say labor, it is the physical and mental efforts exerted by workers, no. Natandaan lang natin if it's labor, it is the physical and mental efforts exerted by workers. So we have also the land, no. So when we say land, it is the natural resources. Land, natural resources. So the last factors of production that we have now is the cost of production, no? So when we say cost of production, it represents the payments of production, no? Pag cost payments, it affect the ability and willingness of entrepreneur to produce. So we have here, no, the rules of production, no. So number 1, you will produce more if the total revenue is greater than the total cost, no. Pag kumikita yung business, you will produce more, no. So the second is the stop of production, no. So you will stop production if the total revenue is less than total cost, no. Pag nalulugi na, no, you will stop the production. So you will maintain the production if the total revenue is equal to the total cost, no. Maintain daw yung production pag equal lang sila, no. So for short run period, the total revenue being more than total cost means profit, no. Pag nagpa-profit daw for short run period. So pag shutdown naman, if the total revenue is less than the total or the variable cost. Shutdown daw, no, if the total revenue is less than the variable cost. We have here the meaning of the variable cost na. So the variable cost is the operating expenses like salaries, cost of raw materials, office supplies, and bills like water, telephone, and electric. So tandaan lang natin pag variable cost, it is the expenses. So we have here, no, the 4 phases of production. So for the first phase is the operation, no. So when we say operation, raw materials are turned into something useful, no. So gumagawa na tayo ng raw materials for something useful. So for the second is the assembly, no. So for the assembly, producers put all parts together to form the final product, no. Pag assembly daw, producers put all parts together to form the final product, no. So for the finishing, producers do the final render to the product. So sa finishing daw no, so producers daw yung nagfa-final render to the product. So for the fourth phase of production is the inspection no. So for the inspection, producers make sure that the product is of high quality and correct quantity no. So yan yung fourth phase ng inspection. Before we end our discussion, so let's have a drill no. So let's start in factors of production no. So it is the factor of production that is physical resources such as machine and equipments which are used to start a business. So what the factor of production is this? Okay no, so this is a capital. So how about factor of production that coordinate all the factors of production? Pag nagko-coordinate daw ng all the factors of production. Okay, it is entrepreneurial ability. So no, how about for the factor of production which is physical and mental efforts exerted by workers? Okay, it is labor no. Pag exerted by workers, it is understood that it is labor. So how about the factor of production that is natural resources? It is land. Pag natural resources, land. So how about the factor of production which represent the payments of production affect the ability and willingness of entrepreneur to produce? What factor of production is this? Okay no, it is the cost of production no. Pag sinabing represent the payments of production, it is cost of production no. So let's move on to the rules of production no. So how about it is the rules of production na if the total revenue is greater than the total cost, we produce more. Very good no. So pag total revenue daw is greater than total cost, we must produce more. So how about if the total revenue is less than total cost? We will stop the production no. Tandaan natin, pag total revenue daw is less than total cost, we will stop the production. So how about if the total revenue is equal to the total cost? Okay, we maintain production no. Pag equal siya, it is maintain. We maintain the production. So how about the total revenue being more than total cost means profit? Okay, it is for short run period no. So tandaan natin, if the total revenue being more than total cost means profit, it is for short run period. So how about if the total revenue is less than the variable cost? Pag ang total revenue daw less than the variable cost, magsha-shutdown na ang production. So very good no. So what is this? It is the operating expenses like salaries, cost of raw materials, office supplies, and bills like water, telephone, and electric. It is very good. It is variable cost no. Pag variable cost, tandaan natin, it is the operating expenses no. Ano ba yung mga operating expenses natin no? Pag sa business tayo, di ba, yung mga salaries, yung mga cost ng mga materials natin, yung mga binibili natin mga office supplies and bills like water, telephone bills and electric bills and etc. Yan yung variable cost na. Tandaan natin, pag expenses, yan ay ang variable cost. So let's move on to the four phases of production no. So it is the phase of production which raw materials are turned into something useful. It is the operation no. So very good. So how about the producers put all parts together to form the final product? It is the assembly. So how about producers do the final render to the product? Final render to the product, it is finishing. So how about producers make sure that the product is of high quality and correct quantity, it is inspection, no? So pag producers daw make sure that the product is of high quality and correct quantity, it is the inspection. So that ends our discussion for today, no? So I hope that you've learned new something today and never ever stop learning, guys. So our next topic to be discussed is all about the product life cycle, the scheduling, the quality, and the cost associated with quality, no? So before we end, if you find this video helpful for you with your review, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, no, para updated kayo if I have new videos to upload. So goodbye for now, everyone, and God bless you all.